Hello grade 8 students, I hope you're fine and safe. This is video part 2. Okay. In the first video, we already finished the third section in China. Okay. So we covered the 3 sections in China, and now we will go to section 1 in Japan. Section 1 in Japan. Please open your book page 157. 157. Okay. Okay, the key terms and people here. We have 4 important words: clans, Shinto, Prince Shotoku, regent. Again, clans, Shinto, Prince Shotoku, regent. Okay, let's start. Let's start the section. Geography of Japan. Let's first recognize the geography of Japan. The islands of Japan are the tops of undersea mountains and volcanoes. We are talking here about a very hard geographical circumstances. Because it's difficult to live and farm on mountain slopes, most Japanese people have always lived in the few flat areas along the coasts. Of course, we have also a lot of coasts. It's a coastal area because it's an island surrounded from water from all sides. So we're talking about a group of islands connected together, and they are landed above undersea mountains and volcanoes. Okay, so these are the landforms found here. The nearness of the sea means that seafood has been a key part of the Japanese diet for thousands of years. Isolation has contributed to a distinctive Japanese culture. Okay, it's an island, so it's an isolated area, okay, with a lot of water, a lot of seas. The seafood is a very important key part in their diet. Although the Japanese have been influenced by nearby Korea and China, the cultures here of Japan is somehow influenced by the Korean and the Chinese cultures. Okay, the first question: what landforms make up most of Japan's islands? Yes, of course, the undersea mountains and volcanoes, okay, and the coasts too. These are the answers for the first question. These are the landforms found mostly in Japan. Early Japanese society. Early Japan was home to two different cultures, neither of which had much, if any, contact with the rest of Asia. The Ainu, with a look of language and distinct from the rest of Asia, were driven by conflict to the northern island of Hokkaido. Over time, the Ainu culture almost disappeared. So this is the first culture. On this part, write a question. What are the 2 different cultures arose in early Japan? In early Japan. And this culture, over time, disappeared. No traces left for it. The people living to the south of the Ainu eventually became the Japanese. They lived mostly in small farm villages. So, where they lived, the early Japanese, you can write this question too. You can just pause the video and write this question. Where the early Japanese lived, or how they lived. They lived in small farm villages. They lived in small farm villages, which is the clans, or extended families. Ruled these villages. The Japanese practiced religious rituals that became Shinto, Shinto is another important word, which is the traditional religion of Japan. According to this tradition, everything in nature has a spirit, or kami, Some clans became so powerful that they took over much of Japan. The Yamato rulers were the first clan to call themselves emperors of Japan. Fine. What family groups, the question here we have, what family groups controlled life in early Japanese villages? Yes, the Yamato rulers were the first clan, the first family to call themselves the emperors or the rulers of Japan. So this is the answer here. As I said before, the culture of the early Japanese were affected, or the cultures were affected by China and Korea. By the mid-500s, Japanese rulers sent emissaries to Korea, and emissaries like missionaries or groups of people to learn from them, to learn about their cultures. Okay? Chinese culture were very influential in Japan. With no written language of their own, the Japanese used the Chinese characters to spell out Japanese sounds and words. Chinese was actually Japan's official language from about 500 to about 1100. Okay, here is the character that we have. Okay, but before we go into it, for about how many centuries was Chinese the official language of Japan? You need here to calculate, okay? If you're good at math, from about 500 to about 1100, so it's like, yes, 600 years. For about 600 years. Okay, let me write it like this. About, okay, it's about 600 years. Okay, who is Prince Shotoku? Shotoku, who served as regent for his aunt, the empress. His aunt, you remember this female was very important. We talked before, Empress Wu, exactly, bravo, was a major proponent of Chinese culture. Shotoku had advisors introduce the Chinese philosophy of Confucianism to Japan. Okay, his aunt was a very important Chinese character. This man was a regent, okay, and he was the reason that transmitted the Confucius or the Confucianism culture to Japan, the Chinese philosophy to Japan. He also encouraged the spread of Buddhism. Shotoku's attempt to bring a more absolute Chinese style of rule to Japan did not fare as well. Clan leaders opposed him. They were afraid to give up their power and fought against Shotoku's ideas. As a result, the emperors gained little real power. Okay, underline the sentence that explains why the clan leaders didn't want a Chinese style rule. Yes, they were afraid to give up their power and fought against Shotoku's ideas. Okay guys, thank you so much for this section. Now I will leave you with a short video made on Prince Shotoku. Okay, your assignment to answer page, the questions here, which is in page 159. Okay, focus on the 4 words we said them: clans, Prince Shotoku, regent, Shinto. Okay, you answer this page, you read the section again, you answer the questions the same as I did, and now I will leave you with this video. Thank you so much and see you soon, inshallah.
Prince Shotoku of Japan was a leader of ancient Japan whose rule as regent under Empress Suiko has become the stuff of legends. Born in 574, the reality of what Prince Shotoku's life was actually like has become somewhat murky with myths. It's said that he spoke when he was only 4 months old and began reading and writing by the time he was 1. And although the stories surrounding how it happened may not be accurate, it is true that Shotoku was introduced to Buddhists as a young boy and he became a devoted follower of the religion. The reign of Prince Shotoku was the beginning of Japan's golden age when culture, art, and knowledge flourished. He became regent for his aunt, Empress Suiko, at the age of 20, and he particularly encouraged interaction between Japan and its neighbors, China and Korea, because he knew Japan would benefit from exposure to their ways. He brought in teachers from these lands to bring his people their knowledge of medicine, astronomy, geography, and more. He valued educators, and teacher was an important position in his kingdom. Shotoku also built many temples, and his influence helped spread Buddhism throughout China. One of his temples, Horuji, is the oldest wooden Buddhist temple still standing in Japan, but he also valued the traditional Japanese religion of Shinto. He believed both religions could be practiced together, a very enlightened idea for the times. Shotoku is also credited with creating a strong, united Japanese government. Using the Chinese government as his model, he established a constitution detailing how the government should be run. It is sometimes called the 17-Article Constitution, and it laid out many points from the hierarchy of the government to the importance of fair trials. Shotoku highly valued the ideas of Confucius and stressed the importance of high ethical standards in government. He wrote, "Punish that which is evil and encourage that which is good." His Buddhist faith was always clear in the way he stressed peace and honesty. Among his many accomplishments, Shotoku is said to be the first to call Japan Nippon, or the land of the rising sun. He also wrote the first book on Japanese history just a year before he died in 622.
Thank you, guys.